Hi, it's Paul Antonelli here. Welcome to another episode of the Ideal Business Podcast. It's where I share information, tips, how you go about building, transforming, or creating your ideal business. In one of the previous episodes, I talked about need and wants, and this is it's a way to really make sure that whatever you're going to market with, whatever changes you want to make to your business, whatever additional products and services, it's a way to make sure that it's needed, it's wanted, and the way that you can deliver it really resolves the problems of your clients. As we all know, the trick in business it's all about problem solving. As business owners, as entrepreneurs, we are solving problems. And the best way to work out what those problems are is to ask people, ask clients, ask potential clients. So check out that previous episode about need and wants, where I talk about how to go about them, how they work. What I wanted to talk about in this episode was, what do you do with the information? What do you do with the data? And how does that sort of get implemented into your process? So I'm going to give you a couple of different examples of how we've gone about utilising need and wants, and they're different situations, and they're for different purposes. So when I'll start at the beginning side of it, where you're looking at potentially launching a business. You've got a new business idea, you haven't launched it yet, you've got some mates together, you're thinking about it, you think it's a great idea. It's a great place to do the need and want interviews. So if you execute the need and wants, then you've got a whole bunch of data. Now, in this scenario, what do you do with that data? Well, the questions that you would ask in this sort of scenario, and it is important that when you're doing those need and wants, as I've mentioned before, that you don't lead people to conclusions. You try not to share information in detail about your idea or what it is that you're going to do. It's almost like you just keep it very high level. Just say, you're looking at changing how things operate in this sector or with this service, and you're just looking for input and ideas and see what people think. So you've got to be almost vague about it, because then you can find that you can influence the information that people give you, because they're responding to what you're sharing, rather than really understanding what they want, what they need, what's working, what's not working. So when you do need and want and you get that data, the way you should utilize that information is, if you're launching a new business, a new product or a new service, you already have an approach, who you think your target market is, how you're going to communicate it, all that sort of stuff. So when you've done need and want interviews, and remember you've got a collection of data, and the data incorporates select information where they scale or they drop down so that they can be analysed, and also free field. And so the first thing is we can really fall in love with a product or a service that we have, but is it really needed and wanted? So from the data that you collected, and as I said, how much people will ask is, well, how many am I supposed to do? When do I stop the interviews? When the data, and what I always say, when the data stabilizes, which means that once you're analyzing it, it's not changing much, it probably indicates that you've got a reasonable data set to be able to draw some conclusions from. And so one of the things to look at is there with the overall concept, is there a need or a want, is there a demand for it? So that's one, and that's a high level conclusion. The second thing that you look at the data is the way that you were considering developing the product or the service. Does it address the key issues and the problems and what people need and want? So you might need to go back and look at the design or the idea of the service or the offering, or if it's a program or a course. And you can also do this, for example, for a book, if you're looking at publishing a book or an ebook or anything like that. So basically, does it address the needs and the wants? And if not quite, you might be on track, but not necessarily right on the mark. So you might want to go back and adjust it. Make some changes to your product or service to reflect what it is that people need and what people want. So you might want to make some changes. The third valuable thing that comes from this process, and particularly in the free fields where you've asked people for input and advice and how well things are going, how things aren't going well, they use a lot of language that can then be utilised in getting the attention of your target market. So, and I guess you call them in marketing, they call them like the buttons, hot buttons. What is it? What language can you use in your marketing and in how you engage with people, which will relate to them? So have a look at the language that's come through. Is there some particular key words that keep recurring, key statements that people make? Some of the some of the pain points are like, yeah, this is something that's grooving in, something that's missing from potentially what the market's delivering at the moment, and look at how you can incorporate that. And when I talk about incorporate it, you might use paid ads. So how do you use it in paid ads? You might landing pages, headlines, specific copy, emails that you might send out. So in essence, it's a way of demonstrating to your clients that you really do understand where they're at, what their issues are, and how your product or service will actually provide a solution or give them some ability to deal with that stuff, which is actually what we want to do. Now, one of the things that, and it's particularly important when you're looking at a new product or service, is not making the mistake of a business just believing that everyone is your marketplace. Anyone can use our product. It's a bit of a mistake in doing that. It makes it very hard to sort of target everyone. With most companies that we work with and we look at their product and service, we work pretty hard with them at trying to determine an avatar. Yeah, who is that person? Like, what is that sort of person? What is it about them? What are their demographics, their psychographics? Like, what's their behaviour? Where have they come from? What's their background? Where are they currently? And the need and want information that you collect should provide some information about the person. I'm not a big. I don't love anonymous surveys because part of this process is to build up some contacts, some names, first name, email addresses, and phone numbers of people that you can then reach out to, if it makes sense to do that down the track. So I always ask for people's name and address and email. We don't find we have a problem with that. So the other aspect that you can look at, and keeping this in mind, if you want to learn more with the aim of creating this ideal avatar, your target, and you might actually have not just one, but 2 or 3 avatars. And the data that comes back might identify that as well. The reason that's important is in your communications, you have to sort of be relevant to that person. And if you're just trying to go wide like a gunshot, it's sort of going to appeal to some people, but you're going to waste a lot. And so what do I mean by that? So for example, let's say we're looking at, with one of my businesses recently said we sell franchises, property inspection franchises. Yeah, we've identified that there's actually 3 types of avatars that would typically go into that sort of business. You've got the person that is specifically looking to go into that industry, become an inspector. There's people that are specifically looking to become an inspector. There's people that are an employee currently, have seen our ad somewhere and have inquired, but they don't know much. They're not necessarily clear on whether they're going to buy a franchise, whether they're going to start their own business, even if they're going to go into business. And then those people that are in the middle ground. Yeah. So we have a way of actually finding that out from people. And this came through our avatar. So we actually have 3 different avatars that we've sort of developed. And you can understand then that we actually ask people when we engage with them, like through a series of questions, like so we can identify which avatar they are. And of course, so why is that important? What does that mean? What it means is that then if you, the people, for example, that are going, yeah, look, I've made a decision. I am going to start my own business and I do want to start an inspection business. They've already made that decision. They're at that sort of end of awareness where they're now just looking at the options to start their own business in that industry. So they might be comparing us to competitors. They might be looking at starting their own. So their headspace is not about the communications. Is not about the idea of how do you go about starting your own business, or should you start your own business, and the pros and cons are different. It's actually about our particular franchise and what our offering is and why it's better than others. So you can sort of see that by doing that process, we can be much more on point and relevant to people that we communicate with. So when you look at the data that comes from and we've done this with many clients. We work with Invizbiz, we work with businesses who, one of the services we provide is who are thinking about franchising or going into that process. And we actually undertake need and wants in a survey structured process. So, we've got a bit of an idea, we frame up what we think the offering's like, and it can be, we've done it in a number of different industries. And then we go to the market. We typically use something like SurveyMonkey. We have a bunch of questions. We don't share too much information about what we're doing. We're trying to test whether we think the avatars are correct. Are they the correct avatars that we've identified, which is one thing. And the other part of it is, do we believe that we've got it on point? Is there a need for it? Typically, we've collected, for most of these, we find that around 100, 120, 130, 140, 150 sort of survey responses gives us a reasonably good data set. And then it sort of reduces the risk of sort of launching a new franchise line. And it also helps us go back. We've already created a bit of an avatar based on what the clients that we work with, what they believe the right avatar is. It's this person who's had this experience and this and that and the other. So we test that. We validate it through the need and want data process. And so it can, it enables you to determine if you're on track. B, if it's needed and wanted. B, the type of people, and there might be one or two or three avatars, and then the communications that you could use with the potential clients when you're going to market. So that's incredibly powerful. So that's one of the ways you can use need and want information. Now, if you're in a business yourself, you've already been in business for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever, then the need and want's a little bit different. If you've gone to existing clients, you're going to look at that data as to ways that you can, what opportunities are there? So you're going to frame up questions about asking for opportunities. What could you do better? What other problems do your clients have that you may be able to assist them with? So that's a different approach. And what that's going to do is identify potential opportunities, identify ways that you can improve your offering to your clients and potentially expand your business and grow. And once again, how you go about marketing that. So instead of just going, we're going to introduce this new service, there's a real demand for it, you've sort of tested it in a way that will give you some ideas and some information to make sure that you reduce the risk. So if you're in business already and you're looking at sort of, making some changes, adding a new product, adding a new service, or just really for ideas about how to improve what you do, then that is how you would use the data. So it's similar in a way, and keep in mind that the way you frame up your questions, it's all about what do you want as an outcome at the other end? What do you want as an outcome at the other end? So it's the need and want process. It's an amazing process. We've done hundreds of these. We've done so many of these processes with clients. We've collected so many need and want interviews. Like we've made it part of our system, and when we work with clients, we do make it part of their system because it is what we call a key successful action for growth and expansion. And this works for a small business. If you're just operating on your own, or you've got a team, or you're a growth, it works at any level. It's about going out to the market, talking exactly to your clients, understanding your clients, really getting into the understanding of what their pain points are, what you can improve, and that will help you shape how you go forward. So hopefully that provides you some insights into how you use the data that you collect. If you understand what it is you're trying to achieve with the information and what you want it to influence and affect, then it helps you frame up both the questions and where you're going to pitch it, where you're going to put it out. Is it past clients, people that got quotes from you but never engaged with you, or you sent out proposals to? Is it potential clients? Is it people that could refer through to you, like centers of influence? So these are people that might not be clients, but know who your clients are before you do. And so what do they see? And often that's a missed opportunity in a lot of businesses. An example with inspection business, it's obviously real estate agents. They know who our clients are before we do. They've had a lot of experience with building inspectors and inspections, and so they can share information about what works, what doesn't work. And we've done thousands of these need and want interviews, so we have a very good understanding of the marketplace and also what's changing. So look, hopefully that provides some insights into how to use that data. I think it's really, if you're going to build an ideal business, you want to sort of, one of the things about being ideal is reducing risk and delivering better outcomes for clients as well as yourself and your team. And this is a fantastic tool and a great way to go about it. So hopefully it's been helpful. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to catching up with you in the next episode. Ciao for now.